Do it even when you don't feel like it. There will be moments in your life when nothing feels right. Moments when your body feels slow, your mind feels crowded, and your motivation feels distant. Moments when doing nothing seems easier than doing something meaningful. These moments are not failures. They are not signs that something is wrong with you. They are part of being human. The mistake most people make is believing that progress should feel good all the time. They believe that growth should feel exciting, inspiring, and energizing. But real growth often doesn't feel that way. Real growth often feels quiet, uncomfortable, repetitive, and sometimes deeply boring. This is where discipline becomes more important than motivation. Motivation is emotional. It rises and falls depending on sleep, mood, stress, and circumstances. Discipline is logical. It does not depend on how you feel. It depends on what you decide. When you rely on motivation, your progress becomes unstable. When you rely on discipline, your progress becomes inevitable. The ability to do what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it is one of the most valuable skills a person can develop. It determines who grows and who stays stuck, who finishes and who only starts, who builds a meaningful life and who spends years waiting. Most people are not limited by intelligence or talent. They are limited by inconsistency. They start when they feel inspired. They stop when it feels difficult. And over time, this pattern becomes their identity. But identity is not fixed. It is built through repeated behavior. Every action you take is evidence of who you believe you are. Every avoided action is also evidence. You become disciplined by acting disciplined. You become confident by acting confident. You become reliable by keeping promises to yourself. Feelings follow actions more often than actions follow feelings. This is not opinion. This is psychology. Your brain learns through behavior. When you act despite resistance, your brain adapts. When you avoid discomfort, your brain reinforces avoidance. This is why waiting for motivation rarely works. The brain does not reward waiting, it rewards movement. Action sends a signal, this matters. Avoidance sends a signal, this is dangerous. Over time, the brain listens.
This is why small actions are powerful. Not because they change everything immediately, but because they retrain your nervous system. When you do something difficult consistently, even at a small scale, your tolerance for discomfort increases. What once felt hard becomes normal. What once felt impossible becomes routine. This is how discipline is built. Discipline is not about forcing yourself aggressively. It is about teaching your brain that effort is safe. This is also why hard days are more important than easy ones. Anyone can perform when conditions are perfect. Anyone can work when energy is high and distractions are low. But life does not operate on perfect conditions. Life is unpredictable, messy, unfair. If your habits only exist on good days, they are not habits, they are hobbies. Habits that change your life are built on bad days, on tired days, on unmotivated days. Those are the days when discipline is trained. When you continue on a hard day, you build something deeper than progress. You build self-trust. Self-trust is the belief that you will not abandon yourself when things get uncomfortable. It is one of the strongest forms of confidence a person can have. Confidence is often misunderstood as loudness or certainty, but real confidence is quiet. It is calm. It comes from knowing you will act even when you don't feel like it. This is why discipline creates confidence and motivation does not. Motivation is temporary. Self-trust compounds. Progress is rarely dramatic. It does not announce itself. It does not arrive with fireworks. Most progress happens in silence. This is difficult for many people because the modern world rewards visibility, speed, and excitement. But meaningful change operates on different rules. Growth requires patience, repetition, tolerance for boredom. If you need constant excitement to continue, you will quit when excitement fades. The ability to continue without excitement is maturity. This applies to learning, health, relationships, and personal growth. Studying feels boring before it feels empowering. Exercise feels uncomfortable before it feels energizing. Discipline feels restrictive before it feels freeing. Freedom does not come from doing whatever you want. Freedom comes from being able to do what matters, even when it's hard. This is an important distinction. People often confuse discipline with limitation. In reality, discipline expands your options. A disciplined body gives you physical freedom. A disciplined mind gives you mental clarity. A disciplined routine gives you time. Without discipline, your life becomes reactive. You respond to urges, moods, and circumstances instead of directing them. Doing something when you don't feel like it is an act of leadership over yourself. It is you choosing long-term meaning over short-term comfort. Comfort is seductive. It promises relief, but it rarely delivers fulfillment. Fulfillment comes from progress, from effort, from knowing you are growing. This is why people often feel restless even when life is comfortable. Comfort without growth creates emptiness. Growth requires friction. This does not mean you should be harsh with yourself. It means you should be honest. On days when energy is low, adjust intensity, not consistency. Lower the volume, not the habit. If you cannot do everything, do something. If you cannot do something perfectly, do it imperfectly. Perfectionism is often disguised avoidance. The goal is not to feel good. The goal is to keep moving. Movement creates momentum. Momentum reduces resistance. Resistance disappears after action begins.
This is why starting is the hardest part. The brain resists transitions. Once you begin, the resistance weakens. This is also why routines matter. Routines remove decision-making. They reduce emotional negotiation. When something is scheduled and habitual, feelings become irrelevant. You do not ask yourself whether you feel like it. You simply do it. This is not rigidity. This is efficiency. Mental energy is limited. The more you rely on feelings, the more energy you waste. Discipline conserves mental energy. Education teaches us many things, but it rarely teaches us how to work with discomfort. Yet discomfort is unavoidable in any meaningful pursuit. Learning to tolerate discomfort without escaping it is a skill. Like any skill, it improves with practice. Every time you act despite discomfort, you increase your capacity. Every time you avoid discomfort, you decrease it. This is why avoidance shrinks lives and discipline expands them. You are not lazy. You are likely untrained. And training begins with small, consistent actions. The future version of you is shaped by what you do when no one is watching, when no one is applauding, when results are slow. Your future self does not need perfection from you. It needs consistency. Ask yourself regularly, what would my future self thank me for doing today? Then do that. Not because it feels good, but because it matters. One day the effort will feel lighter. The habits will feel natural. The resistance will be quieter. Not because life became easier, but because you became stronger. And when you look back, you will realize something important. The moments that changed you were not the moments of inspiration. They were the moments of discipline. The days you showed up tired,
the days you continued without motivation, the days you chose effort over comfort. Those days shaped your character. So do the work. Do it consistently. Do it patiently. Do it even when you don't feel like it, because that is where real change begins.